So at StickerGiant, we refer to each other as giants, like other companies do, but we're cooler. So you'll see giants featured here, and this giant, we go back one, John. That is Sam, and Sam's in the crowd today. Also in the crowd is Chase. Where are you, Chase? Chase is doing some filming also, and he is the guy behind the camera on all of these gifts. Jesse is here, Director of Marketing, and I saw Andrew somewhere. Thank you, Andrew. Do we have any other marketing folks around? These guys are sort of the brains behind this, but the talent is really all the giants. So you'll see them featured as we go through. All right, John, say something to us. Push your microphone.
No, this is good. Same volume, a little bit quieter. So I'm John. I founded StickerGiant in my basement almost 20 years ago. The business has transformed a bunch of times since then. And now I'm the CEO and visionary. I get to really focus on the bigger vision and the values and the 12 laws. And Beth, she's the integrator. Beth, what do you do every day?
I run the company on your behalf, John.
Thank you for doing that.
Yes.
You do a good job.
Thank you, John. You do a good job too, John.
What does StickerGiant do?
Well, what StickerGiant does is we are a manufacturer of custom product labels and promotional stickers. And we can talk about it all day, but we've given you just an example because we're in manufacturing. It's easy to show you what we do rather than talk about it. So we've given you a sticker sheet. It's a great product. And see me after if you'd like my business card for a coupon, if you're interested in any StickerGiant labels or promotional stickers. But this is yours today. This is our product. John, tell us a little bit about the history.
All right, I mentioned we've been around about 20 years. We're still privately held. I never did I'm going to raise money and all that thing. We're about a $25 million sales company. It's a $52 billion global market we're in, so we can really grow a lot. We have about 62 giants on the team. And last year we printed something like 100 million product labels and promotional stickers last year.
We did.
That's pretty amazing.
And so that's a little bit about us. We have a pretty good presence online. You can go and check us out if you'd like to know more. One of the things I forgot to tell you about John and I is we're both super business geeks, so we geek out on this stuff all the time. We have philosophical debates about what we should do and shouldn't do. So you're going to see that here today. So let's move on. Well, there they are, John, in all their glory, all 12 of them in one place.
Yeah, and I don't expect anybody to read all these, but we need to give credit to the man that first put these down on paper, and it's Ari Weinschweig from Zingerman's Deli in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Over 10 years ago, he was tired of people coming to his super successful deli and saying, "What's your secret?" And they get a tour and they go, "Okay, I know what it is. I know what the secret is. It's the bread." Or somebody else would be like, "Okay, I know what the secret is. It's your location." And so this is our attempt to provide people a window into what is the secrets behind our success, our recipes, and everything we do supports these laws. How do you describe it, Beth?
Well, I'll just say that we're just back from Ann Arbor, Michigan, which is where Zing Train is. So Zingerman's is now a community of business. And John and I had an opportunity to go up there and spend some time with Ari Weinschweig, and it is inspirational. So that would be one thing if you want to check out some of the things we're doing. I've got one of Ari's books here if you want to check it out. He's a prolific writer. I think the most important thing we'll say, just to kick this off about the 12 laws, is these are guideposts for us. All organizations have them. Sometimes we talk about them as values, and sometimes we talk about them as mission statements. We go back to these laws all the time. And I think as we go through them, I'm hoping that you have a breath of relief sometimes and be like, "Oh yes, we experienced that in our business," right? Because John and I will do that, and Andrew is a 12 law geek too, and he'll be law number 9, right? So we do that in our organization. So we've got a lot to cover. John, hit it with the first GIF, which is Reese Dieter, and we're gonna get rolling.
All right, Reese Peter. Okay, so how come the law is up? There's the first one.
There's
Okay.
number 1, John.
There's number 1.
John, what's
All right.
number 1?
Number 1 is an inspiring and strategically sound vision leads to greatness. Well, just to kind of get started on the 12 rules, this is a really important one. Harris Interactive, about 10 years, did a really wide study of the American workplace and American workers. And And they found out a bunch of interesting things. A guy named Dean Tucker wrote a book called The Power of Purpose. In it, he wrote about this survey, and he found that they found that in the American workplace, only 37% of the people working in a typical company knew the goals of the business. 20% were inspired by those goals. Okay, 20% probably the same 20%. Saw a way to support those goals. 15% felt like they were enabled, that they could actually do something to promote the business or to help the business out. 20%, only 20%. That means 80% did not trust their employer. So, who's a Broncos fan? If this was the Broncos and there were 11 football players, 4 would know which direction to go. What is a touchdown? 4 out of 11. 2 would care when the team broke huddle. 2 would know what position to get in. 2 would think they could make a difference in the game, and 2 of them are actually playing for the other team. So, what is a vision?
Yeah, so we'll hang out here on the first of the laws just a little bit longer because it's so important. Go ahead and hit the next GIF. So this is Jesse and I on this GIF. So this is the boom, right? Vision is the picture of where we're going. Now, I've shared something with you. We're not practicing radical transparency yet, but we're working our way towards it. This is called a vision traction organizer. And we borrow pieces from other operating systems. This is from EOS. Long conversation we could have about that, but not for today. So on the Vision Traction Organizer, you'll see under 3-year, it says picture. So when we're thinking about 3 years from today's time frame, we have to paint a picture of what that's going to look like, right? You'll notice that on the backside is the 1 year. Not talking about any picture there. We're talking about a plan. So you see how that might change. In the active year, we're actually executing to what will help us get toward the picture, which would be 3 years. This has strategic initiatives on it. This exposes what our issues are. We use issues lists to know where to focus our efforts. But the key thing is we're painting that vision also financially, as well as what we need to do to achieve, to be able to handle all of the additional revenue we may be generating. Now, Ari Weinswag in the book would say this is not a vision, right? A vision is a narrative, and it usually starts with you sitting down, taking a certain period of time to imagine in your mind's eye what your vision of the future would look like. So this is a distilled version of it, but it's really an important part. And we'll refer back to this again.
Okay, so I think I got it, Beth. So a vision is your mission statement, right?
John.
No.
Not quite.
No,
it's not. It's not.
It's our purpose.
Well, no.
It's totally different.
But it has to be strategic. It has to be inspiring and strategically sound. Like, how would we even do that?
And we have to write it down.
We do have to write it down.
Okay. Well, those are all important things about a vision. There's a whole book on it written by Ari that we can tell you about later. All right,
so there it is, the VTO.
We talked about that.
We did that together.
Okay. All right.
Law number 2.
We're already on to our second rule of business, law. Okay. So this one's important because so many business owners think that, okay, I filed with the state, I got my business, I got my open sign, I got my product, I got my cash register. All right, why aren't there any customers?
Where's the customers, John?
Where are the customers? Well, your customers need some extremely compelling reasons to come check you out. You gotta be different. I mean, what if...
You gotta do more than check you out.
Well, they gotta buy from you.
Buy some stuff.
Yeah, and then they gotta come back and they have to avoid your competitors. So what's our compelling reason?
So if you check your VTO out again, you'll see 3 uniques there. So it's one of the ways that StickerGiant positions ourselves in the market, right? We are fast, friendly, and fun, right? So I think our gifts are a great example of how that's just one example of how we try to be fun. And we really want to be fun with our customers too. So I'll give you an example why this works at StickerGiant. One of our main competitors is not a company that you can dial a phone number and talk to. So it's one of the ways I think, right, as a COO, that they manage their cost, right? They have to answer phones, even have a phone system, and have live people answering phone calls, that's expensive, but that's our niche. So being friendly means if you want to talk to us, we want you to talk to us, and we're going to staff for that. And we're actually going to have really friendly, intelligent, smart, fun people on the phone to help you figure out what you're going to use in our suite of products. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's good. Compelling reasons.
You like that, John?
I like that.
Really glad. So this is Megan Boyd. She is from our marketing team, and she's hitting us with 5 stars.
Yay, 5 stars.
Okay, next up is John. We love this one. We could talk all day about this one.
All right, so this one seems super obvious, but it's so many business owners don't understand that you need good finance. So I'm going to hand most of this off to Beth, but the 3 rules of finance at StickerGiant are: we know and teach the rules. We keep score. We have weekly huddles where all the numbers go on in real time every week. And we provide a stake in the success. We have this thing called gain share. When the employees completely beat plan, they get a part of the spoils of business. It's fun. So what does this law mean to you?
Well, I think it means something different in a privately held company than it does in a company that maybe is venture-backed or in some other way. So for us, this means that we're a practicing open book management, great game of business company, and we provide ability for our folks to see all the financials, right? We just this afternoon announced the close of Q2. We had a banner Q2. Actually, we had the best quarter we've ever had from a financial standpoint, and our employees were celebrating their win on that. So that's a big thing. Now, I'd be the first to say, we don't have this all figured out. I said I'm just fresh back from also Springfield, Missouri, where the great game of business is, and the company there is SRC, and they have, I don't know, about 10 businesses that roll up into that organization. And what's so inspiring is they're saying they don't have it all figured out either, right? They hope to be $1 billion organization in 5 more years. They're the founding of this idea, and when I'm there, John, they're still saying, we're still working to figure this out. So this isn't easy. You'll hear about that in some of the other laws, how
Those are
difficult
other
it can
laws.
be. I know, it's just a teaser campaign. Yeah, but when everybody in the organization, think about it for a second. How many privately held companies do we have in the audience? Okay. If everybody in your organization knew one number financially that they could impact on a monthly basis to drive the success of the organization, just one, and I know you business owners are thinking already, what would my one number be? Is it revenue? Is it profit? What is it? But once you know that one number and you help the team figure that out, you don't go and tell them, you know what our number is, and I'm going to tell you what our number is, and then you're going to go execute against that number, right?
Well, yeah.
But if I say, hey, let's think this through together, they believe a stake that if people help support what they help create. So we all are like business geeks. We both get so excited. We're like, oh my God, we know the answer now. But we have to slow down and say, okay, how can we help people discover that answer? So we're actually working on that right now at StickerGiant. What is our one critical number that everyone can align to and see when we have a banner quarter that they're like, oh my God, I know how I contributed. So we're on our way here.
That's cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
I got one more question with the show of hands. How many people have worked in a big giant company in Boulder County or somewhere else where there were layoffs? What was it like? They were all like, people were talking in the hallways, and they're like, I think there might be layoffs on Friday. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? There might be layoffs. You know? So the idea being is that that's irresponsible. That's not a good company to work for. And frankly, environments that create a situation where people don't know the financial health of the business, they're guessing about whether they're going to do that's immoral to employ people under those conditions. So I'm suggesting that the what is considered to be normal is actually not good at all. Really bad.
I'm going to say one more thing.
Yeah.
Can I do that? I'm going to lift this up a little. Maybe.
Yes.
We'll
Yeah,
see.
positive energy.
Yeah. So here's the thing, right? We at StickerGiant, we're going through a lot of change right now. And the big question is, even in a fast-growing company that is transparent around our finances, how do I have job security, right? That's an important question. And there's two parts of job security, but the key one is, do you know if the company's healthy financially or not? And if people can say at StickerGiant, yeah, I see that all the time. I see the numbers every month and I'm getting a gain share and I know we're healthy. At least that's half of that equation, right? That you know that it's not going to be like, well, we didn't have the guts to tell you, but we aren't doing so well, so many of you aren't going to be here anymore, right?
That's
I mean,
awful.
and then the other side of that, of course, is your own personal performance, right? That you're contributing to its performance of the company and all the individual people that are helping pull in the same direction to take the company where we need to go. What's next, John? 4?
Oh, this is a good one, and it's people do their best work when they're part of a really great organization.
Yeah, I believe that.
And this is part of our great organization. This is Eileen. She is our accounting manager, and she's actually like that. She's super friendly and has a tiara, and she's just an absolute delight. And so she's an example of a person that does great work because she's in a really fun environment.
Do you want to say anything about an airplane pilot?
You know, when you start work at a new company and you show up and it's chaos and you don't have a desk or a phone and half the staff doesn't even know you were going to show up, you start to get a pretty bad feeling. So what I like to say is that passengers take comfort with a well-trained pilot. So if you show up at StickerGiant and we have a desk for you and everyone knew you were going to be there and there's a welcome gift, a t-shirt, it's like, wow, they planned ahead. They had a process. And that experience hopefully carries on and day after day at StickerGiant, and understand that we're trying really hard every day to create a good environment to work in. And so that's my metaphor. How do you like to talk about this one, Beth?
Well, a couple ways. I think this is really getting at culture in your organization, right? A great place to work isn't something that I'm going to magically do. I have a part in that. But really helping everyone in an organization understand that really having a great place for people to work is about all of us figuring that out together. And that culture is always moving around. Like, we're going to get it figured out a little bit and then it's going to shift on us and we're going to have to do some more. You know, I was at a technology company, was my last company, and I had the opportunity to hear a leader in that company answer the question, what's more important, employees or customers? And the answer came back, customers. Yeah.
Boom.
And it did, it really kind of broke my heart. So at StickerGiant, what we are attempting to do is create an environment where our employees come first, and that can be a really hard thing to get good at, because they're the ones that are going to keep our customers happy, right? So I would argue employees first always, and of course, customers are coming pretty quickly behind. One of the things we're doing at StickerGiant around this is we're starting to get more involvement. So we're starting to create teams. We have a sustainability team that's spun up. We have a safety force that's spun up. Look at my notes. We have a charity team. So we give in the local community, and John and I are not making those decisions. The passion comes from our giants telling us where they want to contribute the money that's been set aside. So I think that's employees telling us what they want and us responding to say, yeah, let's do that, helping them.
That sounds complicated. I thought culture was just about having a foosball table.
Well, that's why you're the visionary.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right, should I do this one?
Go ahead.
All right. So this is literally an equation, okay? Your staff will never give a level of service at a level higher than they perceive the level of service that their employer is giving them. So if their employer treats them unfairly, it's likely, and not to a high level, it's likely they're going to treat your customers and put the same sort of ethic into their product that they produce. So this is just a rule of business. And so, Beth, how do we work with this rule at StickerGiant?
Well, let me tell you a little, like Ari at Zing Train talks about this as they view customers as employees the same. So, and employees are treating each other like customers. That's one of the things they do, right? So John's my customer. When I go to my one-on-one, I'm prepared, right? That kind of mindset. But Ari takes it a little further and says, what if you change the philosophy to actually your employees were volunteers, right? They weren't even coming to sustain their livelihood. They were coming because they wanted to be there. How differently might you treat them? So it's a good balance measure. How many folks in the audience know Lean Startup and all the product work that Lean Startup does? So I'll give you an example of if you want staff to give great service, give great service to staff. So we caught ourselves this morning in our leadership weekly team meeting talking about our Slack channels. And we were talking about, well, this seems like it's not working, and we were going through this whole process. And at a certain point, we realized we didn't have another customer view into that conversation, right? So if we want to give great service to staff, then we need staff to be involved in that conversation, right? Because they're actually who our customer is. We want them to have a good experience. So we paused over our conversation, we listed the things we talked about, and one of the people on the leadership team took a task to go spin up a quick 2-week team to get survey who'd be interested in talking about Slack and how to improve our Slack channels so that we can actually get the customer, the employee, to tell us what we need to do. So I think that's just this morning that happened, like how we're practicing the laws.
I got it. Okay, so who's in our slide here?
Oh my goodness, I think this person's in the house. Do you think they're here?
No.
I saw them. It is, and she's here.
Oh,
Madeline
my
in the
glasses
back,
on,
oh my
I didn't
goodness.
see ya.
Our friend Madeline is in the back and she's on leave right now, so we're missing her a lot. She's growing her family, and this is her saying yay.
Thanks to the great company that I work for.
Oh,
Thank you.
yay.
Thanks for being here.
What's our next law?
To get great performance, you need to give clear expectations and training tools. This sounds kind of serious.
Well, it's pretty important, because what do people do who really, they're good people, they're smart, they want to do a good job, and you give them something to do, what are they going to do?
Well, let's start with expectations, right? So I mentioned EOS. EOS really, the heart of entrepreneurial operating system, EOS, has an accountability feature to it, right? So one of the things at StickerGiant we're doing is if we're going to talk about accountability and we don't do anything around it, then we're not really setting very good expectations. So it is really one of the things we have in work right now, like how would we create that kind of thing in our organization? The other thing is I think training and tools are separated. Part of my background, there are 5 rights, the right people in the right place at the right time, doing the right things. And the 5th one was with the right tools and support. So if you can get the right people in the right place at the right time doing the right things, you may be successful. But if all of that happens and they don't have the right tools or support, then that's not going to happen. So there's several things we're doing at StickerGiant that support one of our key values is gain and share knowledge is, for instance, our press operators. Heart of our business, we're an HP Indigo shop. So we have the sticker sheet you have there has ink on it, right? We have to get the ink laid down with the image. And our press operators go through 3 levels of training that we sponsor, we pay for it. And they go to Alpharetta, Georgia, and they go through that training. Now they do apprenticeship before we send them there, so that training's falling on, like I've actually had my hands on the work. But it's really important that they're running nearly $1 million machine, south of $1 million, that we give them everything they need in order to be successful. And we have everything from apprentice without the formal training all the way up to a level 3 in our organization.
This is an area where as businesses grow, this is something that I look forward to us getting better at, and as part of us getting better at this, what do we have posted, Beth?
Oh, John.
We have a job posted.
We do. So because we're growing, we actually need a learning development and organizational development person, so a specialist. So if you know that person or you're that person, hang out and talk with me. That's actually going to get arms around everything we do, from just the tactical stuff that we deliver on all the time to organizing a lot of the systems, these infrastructure things that we do. All right, did we get Andy? We already saw Andy. Okay, number 7.
All right, number 7 is successful businesses do things others know they should, but generally don't.
John, you love this.
This is about not cutting corners, going the extra mile. There's a million stories to tell.
Do you want me to tell one?
Tell one.
I think at the heart of this for me is our Tuesday huddle. So we commit every Tuesday, and I see some faces in the room that aren't sticker giants that have been to our huddle, but we commit every Tuesday 30 minutes to report to the whole organization key metrics, KPIs, where we are on revenue, updates and information, and we end it, I'm not going to tell you because it'll give away the end of the presentation.
Don't give it away.
I'm not going to give it away. But that's a commitment, right? And I can imagine back in the day when John started doing this and we were 10 and 15 and 20 and 30, I was employee number 47, that it got harder over time. I can tell you getting 60 plus people together for 30 minutes when you're running a manufacturer, that's a trick. And to make it interesting is a little more tricky. And to make it meaningful for all roles within the company, yet another trick. But we're so committed to doing it and making it have value, not just to go through the motion, right? That would be one thing. But to over and over again, keep trying new things that make it interesting.
I've actually had owners of other manufacturing companies come to our huddle, and then their only question is, do you pay everybody to be there? I'm like, oh, you missed the point. And so, yeah, we pay everybody to be there.
Yeah, so it's hard, but it's a commitment, right? It's definitely a commitment to doing the hard things that we see value. All right, number 8.
You want to do this one?
Wait, who did we see in the? Oh, that was Ed Olivo. Did
we
see
missed that.
Ed Olivo?
Ed Olivo, he's runs our manufacturing.
That's what it looks like to do the hard stuff.
Yeah, and he's always doing things like that.
Well, not all the time.
Not always.
Okay, number 8. To get to greatness, you've got to keep getting better all the time.
Well, that's like Kaizen, right?
Yeah. What is that, John?
It's incremental improvement.
That's right. That's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
That's right. Yeah, so we know, right, those of you that are agile practitioners, lean practitioners, that iterative and incremental is really a path to success. But in the end, what does that really mean? So I'll give you an example of something we did at StickerGiant that seemed maybe like a big change, and then we've iterated on it. So when I first joined StickerGiant, I could see we needed to do a lot of process improvement. We were doing it, but we weren't calling it anything, and we weren't maybe organized around it. So it wasn't like we weren't doing anything, it just wasn't organized. So we decided to put a team together, and we did that, a cross-functional team. First time we'd done it. We had the team name themselves. They named it themselves 8-bit, because there's 8 links in our workflow in order to complete our jobs. And we started meeting, and we had some good success, and we had a lot of people contributing to that success. We had great wins. But over about a year period of time, attendance kind of started to drop off a little bit, and we started seeing that we were needing to spin up specific project teams that had subject matter expertise. So things were kind of happening outside of 8-bit. And eventually we decided to sunset the 8-bit team, right? Because we were actually further maturing how we were running projects and doing iterative and incremental change. So that's just an example of really getting better all the time, and just the unvarnished truth of in business or in life, it's always moving, right? Whether you want it to or not, you have to really engage with how you're going to make it better all the time.
Can I do one more example?
Please.
Jesse, how many different multivariate tests have we run on our website conversion since I got completely infatuated with 8 and was like, we have to do A/B testing and put it on a schedule and do it continuously and never stop. How many tests have we run since we started that? Roughly.
Over 65.
Right. Over 65 multivariate tests for on our customers on our website, each one resulting in a winner, adds up percentage-wise a little bit, over a little bit, over a little bit, and our conversion rates are super impressive. And we're going to keep working. We're not abandoning that program. We're going to keep going. It's never stopping process. So we have a lot of things at StickerGiant like that we do as well.
And that was Hamish, by the way.
Oh.
the trainer.
Hamish. And he does our pay-per-click
Oh, my
advertising,
goodness.
and he is an incremental improvement wizard. I don't like wizard. That's a terrible word. He's really good at it.
He's awesome. All right, number 9, success means you get better problems. You love this one too, John.
Oh, I used to think the success when you had no problems. What's it really mean, Beth?
It means you get better ones. They're more complicated and they're bigger sometimes. Right. So one of the things we're experiencing around this better problems is we're running out of space at StickerGiant. So I wasn't there when John bought the building over on Weaver Park Road. Many of you locals probably know where we are, over by the sugar mill plant. And when John bought the building, the urban legend is that he was nervous. He thought he overbought. Is that true, John?
I thought, oh my goodness, how are we going to fill all this up?
And we filled it up.
Oops.
So
in
that's
2 years.
Yeah, in a little over 2 years. Yeah. What a good problem to have, right? So then now we've been fortunate. We worked a lot with economic development and others. John bought the building across the street, right? Problem solved. Check mark, right, John?
No.
Oh, God, what kind of big problem do we have now?
Well, we got people walking across the street, and there's trucks from the dairy going back and forth. Someone's going to get killed.
And the building across the street used to be an algae producer. They had all of these like fish tanks throughout the building with all this algae stuff. So it's not well suited for an e-commerce manufacturing company that makes promotional stickers and product labels. So, and now we have 2 buildings, right? We have people walking back and forth. We're not all housed in one place. That brings up sort of some cultural things that we have to pay attention to. And now we're doing all this domino effect stuff. So we just moved all of our staff in CS and pre-flight up into a too tight area for probably a year. And we bought new furniture to try to make it better. And we invested in pink noise, and it's really tight. And it's only for a year, but it's hard, right? Until we can move them over once we get more access to the building that John bought so that we have enough room. So you can see, right, success just gives you bigger challenges and bigger problems. But it doesn't mean that it's going to get easy.
Yeah, and I'm going to do one more example.
I love it.
Oh, okay, and this goes back to the training and tools. To get great performance, got to give set expectations of different training and tools.
That's right.
All right, so customers call us up. They have a great experience with a customer service rep, Madeline. They're like, oh, I love Madeline. She's the best. And then Madeline gets promoted and changes department, and somebody else is there. And the customer calls up. It's like, is Madeline there? She was the best. And you're like, no, but so-and-so can serve you, and they're just as good. But they're not. Okay, and that's actually a problem. A great customer service experience with one person, they want to come back and do that again. And so these problems also can be really uplifting and empowering and for the people that have to fix them. So there's another example.
I love it. Well, you're up next again, John. So this is strengths lead to weaknesses is the law number 10, and I think you have a story for us.
I'm really old. So
I'm older than you.
Okay, Michael Jordan, who's heard of that? He played basketball. The Chicago Bulls, once upon a time, they were the greatest basketball team ever. They won 70 games in a season, a feat nobody has beat since they beat that since they wrote this slide.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been beat since, but they three-peated not once but twice. Has anyone done that, Jesse? No. Okay, so there. All right, but so it was all Michael Jordan, and Michael Jordan retired in 1998, and the Bulls kept setting records. It was amazing. In fact, the first year Michael Jordan, after he quit, they set the record for winning the fewest games ever. They won 13 games that season. Strengths lead to weaknesses.
They do, John. Well, last night I was going through this presentation again, looking through our gift library, and we've never done like specific gifts for the laws. So I'm combing through over 300 of them, trying to figure out which of the gifts match the laws.
That's a good one.
I like this one a lot. So this is Saul, the world's largest sticker ball. If you want to come and do a tour of StickerGiant, we do tours every Friday at 2, and you can meet Saul and see the factory. But what I love about this image connected to strengths lead to weaknesses is think about how much energy it takes to really focus on something, to have the strength to make something happen. And when you do that, that means that you're not paying attention in other places, right? So if you're all in and you're really focused. So I'll give you an example at StickerGiant. So when I joined StickerGiant, it's true actually still today, we use 4 substrates and 3 laminations in order to make our whole product suite. This guy came up with a way to disrupt the industry, not only on fast turn, but by keeping our product line and materials very simple.
Very simple.
Thank you,
Other
John.
printers are like, you only have 4 materials?
Yeah, and we've gone now, I'm a year and a half in at StickerGiant, and I've had the opportunity to go see other pressure-sensitive label producers, and it's mind-boggling. I would not want to work in some of those places. I mean, the stock that they have on hand, and it's just a different world. So that's a strength for us. We can quick turn. If you order today and you approve your artwork by 2 o'clock Mountain Time, we will ship tomorrow. So that's a pretty big deal. So back to 4 substrates and 3 laminations, that's how we're doing that, and that's our strength. But we got to keep offering new products to customers, right? We got to keep refreshing the products, and we do that within the product line. And over a year ago, John challenged us to add paper labels into our products. Now, you say, oh, labels, don't you guys already do that? Wouldn't that be simple? Well, no, because we're not going to laminate them. We have to varnish coat them. So we had to figure out what machine we were going to buy, and we had to go through a whole process. And then we had to do the R&D and get product readiness from a manufacturing standpoint and figure out how we're going to launch it on the website. So it really gave us, we've been a year plus working on this.
Yeah, so our strength was we had a super, super simple product line, and we didn't know how to develop a new product line that was really complicated. And so we're learning that. It's really been fun to watch, and it's going to launch really soon.
Yeah, there's actually information on the website about it. So it's around the corner. Yeah.
That's cool.
Coming soon to you, paper labels.
Paper labels. All right. Oh, wait a second. Whose arm is that?
I think it's Jesse's.
It's Jesse's arm. Dude, you're ripped.
John, rule 11. It takes longer to make something great happen than you think, and you love this one too. I tell John when we go through them, I'm like, the more we go through them, you love the ones lower down to the bottom more than the ones at the top. I'm not sure why that is.
When I lose my phone, I always find it in the last place I look.
There you go. There you go.
All right, so there's 2 sides to this rule. The first side is, I define this kind of as professionalism, and for me, professionalism is sticking with something, being inspired and serious about something long after the glamour is worn off. Sort of the opposite of let's do a presentation, a capital raise, and get our first round and do it, and then move on to the next startup in a year. We don't do that at StickerGiant. It's all about sticking with something long after the glamour's worn off. What's the flip side of this law?
Well, I think about grit when I think about this law. That you have to. This is Timothy in IT, and he's got some grit to get up on top of good old Saul there. And to me,
That's such a good.
It's a pretty good one. I mean, thanks for noticing, John. That's a good one. But to do that, it takes practice, right? To really get good at law number 11, it takes longer to make something happen than you think. Means that you've got to practice, right? You've got to let yourself fall down and skin your knee and get back up and keep going. And in my mind, that's grit. I'll give you an example at StickerGiant. So one of the ways John designed what we do is he values being independent, right? He always has, he continues. But as we get larger, our independence, what rule is strengths lead to weaknesses?
The independence means that we have software that one guy wrote.
That's right. And it does keep us independent. We are so unique in what we do. That's what I've learned. We are so unique that we can't go buy a label manufacturer or product from a software standpoint that would suit our needs. So a number of months ago, we made a decision with a software provider with a certain portion of our workflow to purchase from them. And we were very clear, we have a unique process and we wrote all this stuff in the contract. You need to do custom development, you need to do all these things. This piece of software is how we will get a reorder off our website all the way down to schedule at a press. So it has big value for us around profitability and keeping our system lean. So we signed the contract, we paid the money, and we are still in an iterative process working to get this to land the way we want to. And it's hard. It's really hard.
Well, we've also been doing open book almost 8
point.
years, and we still aren't doing it right.
That's right. So I just came back from training on open book, and I said to John, we are doing so many things so well, and look where we've gotten. And there's so many more things around open book that we can do. So it's one of the things I value about working with you, John, is that you know that we are always going to have to keep iterating on the things that have gotten us where we are.
Okay, so this law is the law most often abused.
Oh, right.
How does this law get abused?
Oh, it was really hard.
Where's that TPS report, Beth? You're 3 weeks late on your TPS reports.
It's hard, John. You know, not Law 11, it takes longer to make something. I'm trying to make it great. It takes a long time.
Those TPS reports, law number 11, John.
What is a TPS?
You know what a TPS report is? Yes, it's a.
What is it?
It's a cultural thing. It's a thing from this movie cultural space.
Oh, thank you. Oh, that. If only I watched more TV. It's true. I mean, this is not intended to be a crutch, right? But it is intended to keep emphasis on the grit that it takes to make something great. Well, we're rounding the corner here. And now...
This is my favorite law.
This is your favorite law. So kick us off.
Great organizations are appreciative and the people have fun in them. They have more fun.
They do.
Yeah,
More fun. Is that all you got?
Yeah, that's it. It's my favorite. It's pretty obvious what it means.
And one of the things I love about what John has done at StickerGiant, and we continue to iterate on, is every week we do appreciations to end our huddle. So by no mistake is it law number 12, and we're ending with it. That's how we end every week. We print stickers that people handwrite appreciations on, and they are so fun. We have a lot of hashtag wars, who can come up with the funniest and most interesting hashtags, and there's often a lot of laughter. One of the things that I loved was when I was in Springfield, I got to be in a business unit of folks that practiced this also, and there were almost 300 people there, and they barely had a little more than a handful of appreciations in their huddle. And we enjoy having 2 handfuls or more with a giant team of 60 plus. And it's really fun. So I would encourage you to think about how appreciations can be woven into what you do. And John,
right, and it's not just the actual appreciations. It's also stuff like we work harder every year to increase the quality of our benefits. We
That's
offer
right.
our employees. Those are trying to appreciate our employees. We have to create a culture of appreciation because they are volunteers. If we think of it that way, and it keeps that coming back.
there we go.
Okay.
All right, so I want to do an appreciation and a specific shout out to Zing Train and Ari Wagswine. Wagswine.
I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. I'm sticking with it, though.
Because we are riffing on his original 12 laws. Also, appreciation to EOS, which we use in our company, Entrepreneurial Operating System. We use that as part of the heart and soul of the way we run the company. And then, of course, the great game of business, open book management. And we're also a small giant, which has its own particulars around who we are in the business community. So wanted to end with a shout out to those guys. And John, end with a thank you to you. Thank you for getting me on board at StickerGiant and giving me the opportunity to advance your vision.
I appreciate everything you do every day, though.
Thank you, John. Thanks, everybody. And we'll take some questions.
Is it okay if I stand up now, Jessica?
Howdy.
Hi.
Hey. So I've got a question about the underlying principle of truth within the organization. As you're your company has grown from essentially where you were at just in your basement or garage to where you're now 62 employees. How do you keep that trust within the organization?
We try really hard not to bullshit them. We try really hard to be fair and give them as much information as we can and treat them the way that we would want to be treated. I don't know, there's some StickerGiant employees here. Does anybody have any suggestions on that? That's a hard question. Well,
I'll answer.
What?
Like something we've been working on in StickerGiant is communication.
Yeah.
And from the top down, everybody has an idea of what's going on, and you get communicated by your peers, your leaders, and it's really nice to know what's going on, good or bad, and they're not afraid to tell the leader.
Yeah, and I think, a lot of companies have open door policies, right? I think we have that written in our handbook. We have an open door policy, but I don't even sit behind that door. Like at StickerGiant, I don't have an office, right?
We don't have doors.
Yeah, we don't. So, we value, right now, this morning in the leadership team meeting, we were talking about how we get better at communication, because that's where trust comes from, right? And so we're looking in that meeting, what are all the things that we can go back and do walk and talks and informal information? What do we need to roll down the department? We call them level 10s because we use EOS's system. Who do we need to go specifically to and say, hey, we were talking about this, I thought of you, can you talk with me about this, right? But we don't have it figured out. And Ari talks about it, a company as an ecosystem. It's my value set, I actually believe that. And when we're growing really fast, I've been there a year and a half. I mean, John and I are pretty different, right? So running the company behind John is different. The way people value trust and communication with him is different than me. So you have to keep working at it, right? And know that, I say this all the time, leadership is a endurance sport. And if you got into leadership and didn't think your heart was going to get broken, you got in the wrong business. Because people will break your heart, but that's how they learn to trust you. Hopefully that's it.
Thank you.
More questions?
Hello. I was wondering if you could tell me in the briefest way possible, when you first started, what kind of experience did you have? How do you know where to get your machines? How do you know ink? How did you start? What kind of experience did you have to start?
I started with one political sticker that I made up based on a news event, and I didn't have any stickers, but I built a website while I had the flu in bed watching television in 2000.
How did you make that sticker?
I started getting orders, and I went online and I found another online sticker printer, and I ordered some. So, yeah. I don't have an MBA. I have an art degree. I have an art degree.
I'm sorry, it's an art degree. No, I understand that. Did you say you're a photographer?
Yes, I was. Photographer. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of made it up as I went along. I found lots of sources. I read books. I have an advisor that came in early and helped me along the way, Bill Flagg in Boulder. He helps out other entrepreneurs. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
The other thing you did, though, was before you went to custom, right, when you were still retail, HP, well, we have HP Indigos in our shop, they were calling on you, right? Do I have that right? And they were saying, hey, So John's also open to input, and they were saying, you could buy machinery and make these here. And he was like, and then all of a sudden, he started hearing customers ask for custom stickers and labels, and he empowered an employee to quote it and see what happened. So it's that idea of something's pulling you forward, and you're constantly listening to what your customers are saying. You're hearing other people that are consulting, but in the end, you had to take all the risk, right, in order to keep advancing us to where we are today. Yeah. Important to know. More questions?
Can I ask?
Yes.
All right. So the follow-up question to that, as far as culturally, because it seems like you've developed a really unique culture, as far as identifying candidates that fit that unique dynamic, because a part, in my experience with large corporations, is when it comes to having fun or Friday happy hours, there doesn't seem to be a true sincerity there. So as far as when you identify a candidate and then uncovering, so if you could walk me through how that process works to find someone that fits your uniqueness.
First off, I want to completely break the assumption behind the question, which is that culture has something to do with happy hours and breaks and parties. It has absolutely nothing at all to do with that. That is a result of a good culture. Millennials, when surveyed, and this applies to all generations, but especially millennials, surveyed, what they really want out of a workplace is an opportunity to do meaningful work and come up with how to do meaningful work on their own and actually contribute. That's what creates a good culture. Is an environment where people can thrive, they can advance, they can do meaningful work with their peers, they can develop peer groups, they can learn. Then they can celebrate with a happy hour or a beer. So the reason that the corporate happy hours and beers, etc., at the companies where you go and you see these things feel contrived, it's because they are. It's because the leadership doesn't know that they actually have to be good people to create good culture. And they think that if they just seed the area with beer and snacks, that they're going to have a good, and foosball tables, they're going to have a good culture. And it's really not, it's way deeper than that.
People help support what they help create. So I would say if people created and said they wanted the happy hour and employees were running it, that would feel different than some leader saying, we're going to do a happy hour, right? Or we're going to put the foosball table in, nobody uses it. So I think you gotta have your employees, your folks that are your customers telling you what they want. One of the things I do when I'm talking to a leadership level person from outside our company is I don't sit in a room the first time. Our HR person talks to them on the phone. They come in to meet me. We walk and talk. You know where I take them first? To the manufacturing unit. And I'm looking to see what's happening in their reaction. And more often than not, I can tell pretty quickly if that person is a fit for our culture. Because our unique culture means that we have people up front doing administrative type work and answering the phones and paying the bills and working in IT and all of those things. But the heart of our business is manufacturing. So if you don't get excited when you're out manufacturing and you're like, can I look at the laser? Can I have a couple of those cool stickers?
That's a real question. Can I look at the laser?
You're not coming back to sit in a room and get asked, tell me about a time when. You see what I'm saying? Because it's careful business running a manufacturing company that's also an e-commerce and technology company. The cross-section of that is someone that really can geek out on about anything and slow down and talk to anybody. So that's one thing. The other thing is, when we do sit down and talk with people in a room in an interview, we are this is new, we're starting to develop interview questions only that support understanding that person's alignment with our values and get it, want it, have the capacity to do it, which is part of EOS, right? So I would say interview for your company's stated values, ask questions to people that are related to that, and then stack rank your interviewees to see who has the best positive energy based on what we can tell in the way they were in an interview, right? I mean, people can spoof you in an interview.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Do we have more questions?
We get one here and then there's one over there too.
I have a follow-up question, and I think it's escaping my mind. Okay, so a person totally fits in with your culture, but they may not have the experience. Where do you think that's trainable, or how do you handle that?
Depends on the position. Depends on the position.
What was the question?
If somebody is the right person, but they don't have the skill set specifically for a position they're applying for, and I'm just going to say it's a case by case basis. There's one question waiting back here. Yes.
There's one here.
One here. Yes.
Can you please talk about how you scaled your company without raising outside capital?
I did this really incredibly weird thing where I used my customers' money to create profits, to incrementally, rule number 8, build the business every day over 20 years. Boulder County has forgotten about this, but I would say that most businesses that you do business at, that's how they started, is they use their customers' money to start the business.
So just back from the great game of business, and so many people that were in that training, we're talking about receivable, right? How many days out on receivable? John built this business with no receivable, right? You pay before we make.
Cash money.
Well, and notwithstanding, right, in the early days, he put some of his hard earned money into the equation to get stood up, but the value's always been sovereign and private, and that we aren't trying to run the company on money we hope is going to come later, right? So it's a gift. I'm grateful every day for lots of things. I'm grateful that I'm not biting my nails on receivables every day, thanks to the way this guy put this company together.
That was a really good question. I'm waiting for somebody to ask it because I love answering it. That's a good one. Thank you.
More stickers today, by the way.
Oh, yay! Don't get my coupon code. Does anybody else have a question?
So let's say you have someone who's a good fit and you can't train them locally. So you say, hey, you're a good fit. Now, how often do you then reach out several years later saying, hey, you've got more experience? Do they take your phone call? Do they come back? Do they try to actually, is there some type of relationship
never
that's
happened.
established there?
Jesse! That did happen.
Yeah, this happened to me. I applied for a customer success position or customer service at the time back in 2014, and the general manager at the time told me no. And she said, you're not going to sit still in customer service for what we need you to. And then a year and a half later, she called me and said, we have a marketing director position open. Are you interested? And I said, oh yeah. And that's why I'm here today.
That was a really good hire.
I have one person in particular that's hit me up twice for 2 positions, wasn't quite the right timing or position for different reasons, and still has their eye on our company. But yeah, back to the original question is, we're a small company. We can't have positions for everybody, but we have a value in growing our giants into positions, and we will do that in cases where it makes a lot of sense, because we believe in the law that says we don't know what people are capable of until we give them the right support, right? Is a famous quote. So thank you for the question.
And also, we have been moving people around seats a lot in the last few years when traction came into play. And more recently, a lot of people have moved around machines, and we have done a lot to move people down the line on machines. And I've worked at StickerGiant for 6 years now in different jobs myself. So it very much is the right seat thing that's part of traction. And it's the part that's being leveraged the most right now to post jobs internally, and then we try to grow the culture.
And I'll actually even talk about how I hired Beth. I needed to get an integrator. I needed a chief operating officer. I was going to do this rocket fuel system. I needed an integrator. I needed a chief operating officer. I'm going to let go of the company, the day-to-day operations. And I hired a recruiting firm. The recruiting firm had a rubric, check boxes, manufacturing, lots of employees, high growth, technology. They're filling the check boxes. And they kept bringing me these candidates from Texas and Indiana, and they'd run coating plants and chemical factories and foam extruders, and all of them were the same. They all were the same. And they're like, no, they have the experience, but they're not the right person. And Bill Flagg was my advisor. It still is my advisor. And he said, and I said, there's a candidate that's come at me now twice through 2 different connections. Here's her LinkedIn profile. And she already got rejected by the recruiter because she didn't check the boxes. And Bill looked at her LinkedIn profile, and wrote me back and said, John, hire the right person. She's got experience organizing people into functional groups. It doesn't matter that she hasn't been in a Rust Belt factory, you know? And so Beth got the job because she was the right person for the job and had the right experience to do what really mattered, which was to organize people into groups and to functional, meaningful work. So, yeah, that's that. We have a thank you slide. And it went away, and I'm so sad about that.
While you're doing that, how many job seekers do we have in the room? Don't be afraid, raise your hand. All right, look around. If you see that person, say hi to them and connect with them on LinkedIn, because I've been that person. And it's nicer when someone says, I saw your hand up, let me connect with you, than that person going around like, gosh, I wonder if there's 2 people in here I can connect with. Yeah.
You guys can reach out to us. Our Tuesday morning huddles are open at 9. Please contact one of us if you want to go. We can only have room for a couple visitors at a time. We have tours on Fridays at 2 where you can actually come see the manufacturing plant, put your name on a sticker, put it on Sol, the world's largest sticker ball, and get to see a little bit what we do. Oh, and use, if you guys are Giphy users, please know that we have a Giphy channel, and there's a lot of these fun GIFs, and a lot more of them can start populating your feeds as well. So thank you for coming. I hope that it was informative.